Hello, hello, hello. It's Patty, the Pink Pig, Craig Patterson, the founder of Madlab. Today I got with me Nick Penizotto from, was it Palm Beach, Florida, around that place?
Yeah, Lake Worth, Wellington area.
Lake
Yeah,
Worth.
Palm Beach County.
Nice. So, there's a lot of interesting people that come on to come into our family, I would say. Like, a lot of the times it's like this underground railroad. I have no idea how they find us, and we're terrible at marketing and all this kind of stuff. And interestingly, we attract a lot of religious people, and then we also attract people like Nick. But I tell you, it's one of the things I find real interesting is how straightforward, dead honest the people are that do well in the system. So, Nick, I decided before I started this podcast, I'm just going to say fuck it and say whatever's on my mind. I feel like I've been holding back my truth for many years after getting sued and attacked on many different portals online and had trolls and now I just don't care. I'm just going to tell the truth, and I think it's our my duty and our duty of the people that get it to show the world what it is we're doing and why the other way is so mangled and buggered up that you can never get ahead. So anyway, this is my boy Nick. Nick, how did you find us?
So I always tell Audrey, I was kind of stalking you guys even from my days at my last job. I honestly forgot how I stumbled across your page, but I always thought it was interesting. And honestly, the first time I saw it, it scared the shit out of me because we were running a foundations program. Even when I started here and at the last gym, that was like 4 sessions, and getting people to pay one-on-one for those or doing privately was like pulling teeth. It was crazy. So I remember coming across you guys early on in my career and seeing like 10 one-on-one sessions and 15 and 20 sessions. Like, no fucking way. It's impossible. And as I evolved and like as a business owner, you see everything go. And I took this gym over, and it was very small, so doing everything myself. So it was kind of easy to integrate people in the class because I had the touch. But as soon as we started to get busy, it became impossible. And retention, although we were industry leader, like we're 96% retention the old way, that was monthly. So when I finally pulled the trigger and decided to chat with you guys, basically you highlighted that 96% a month is still dog shit because you're churning half your membership throughout the year. And I didn't need much more than that. Obviously when we first met, there's a lot more things happening with my business and partners and all that stuff, but it was definitely time for a switch. I was ready to be a business owner and not just a guy that was good at coaching CrossFit and doing personal training. That's pretty much it.
Well, I'll just let you lead this thing. I got a series of questions I like to ask here, but you just said something that a little trigger. Coaching the workout of the day, aka CrossFit, and there's lots of gyms that have lots of different fitness protocols and workouts and this and that. How does that differ from what you're doing now?
It's individualized fitness. So before it was how to make the workout work for everyone, and now it's how can I make this workout work for the person, or you work for the workout. Essentially, we reverse engineered it. So before, the workout of the day was, it is what it is. And we would kind of modify it. And maybe it wasn't necessarily an appropriate stimulus or an appropriate recommendation, but we'd keep people safe. But still, like, is that the best thing for this person? And now the way we've been able to turn it with the more individualized approach and all of our coaches having people, a handle on people. Now when they come into a class, they might not do something that looks exactly like the workout of the day, but it's still their workout of the day, not the workout of the day.
So that kind of leads me towards, our industry has been plagued by underpaying its coaches and basically, McDonald's style, put somebody in there, pay them $15 or $20 an hour, and run this and give them a 2-day course and away you go. So what does a professional coaching service like yours look? And how long did it take you to really move the needle on that?
I'm kind of back up. So I want to say we're lucky. We're not lucky. We had a good membership base, and they were very receptive to our change. There was definitely some hiccups, But when we decided to fully, when I got rid of my partners and we fully went Madlab, I mean, my coaches got a little bit of, they were on the tip for a little bit, as we like to call it. They were getting a little bit of hourly just to cover, but they went to percentage-based pay pretty quickly, and they were past what they were making before after like 5 months. They were already exceeding what they were doing, and we were coaching half the classes we were coaching on the floor. That's the important thing. So instead of just, $1 for an hour with personal training and with the classes, it became about building a book and building a business, a legitimate business, not just for me, but for the coaches here. So we had a big base, but so it was like a 4-month turnaround for us to get the coaches back above where they were.
So what would you say is the biggest change you've had to make, or the most difficult one from how you used to do it? And just sort of describe how you used to, what was the client development process you had before? Let's talk a little bit just the client experience, and then maybe we'll get into coach, and then you as a gym owner. We'll let this go wherever it goes, and we'll just say whatever we have to say. But describe what your client development process or your client experience was like before, and then what it looks like now, and then what the biggest, friction points or change or struggle or whatever.
For sure. So before, there's like 3 phases. The first phase was people with like free trial class, and then we're going to get them into class, and I'm going to figure it out and make it work for them. And if they survived the first 4 weeks, the next benchmark was 3 months. And if they made it past 3 months, most likely we're going to keep them, because we, like I said, as far as the industry goes, we were a leader in the old way. So awesome, right? And then we evolved a little bit. We added a 4-step foundation process, which we couldn't get anything done. The 4 days wasn't doing shit. And we built that into their first month. And retention was a little bit higher in that early stage, but still felt like people weren't ready to be kicked out of the nest. And then when we moved to Madlab, there's a full assessment that they're getting. They're getting their one-on-ones before they're into class. There's an integration period, so they're getting into class, and then they get to see their coach and report back. And now, we don't lose anyone now. We lose people that move away or, have different obligations, but we're not losing people because they didn't like it anymore.
Have you got a yearly figure on that churn? Because a monthly churn rate is like you said, 96%. And I see consultants bragging about they can teach gyms how to get a 95% churn rate. And you do the numbers, and that's a 60% churn rate over the course of the year. What has your churn rate? So your churn rate was over 50% before, which is still good in that industry. The churn rate is usually 70 in that model. Hard to figure out why people are still doing that, but what has it gone to now?
I mean, honestly, Patty, it's not that we don't track it. It's that we're losing maybe one person a month, and it's less than. So it's
not a problem.
It's negligible. It's 10%.
Yeah, it's not where you need to focus all your energy on. 10% a year, and some transient communities like Vancouver's got such a housing problem. We're transient, and I remember we're tracking that really tightly a few years ago, and there was a huge housing explosion here of prices, 2017. And we tracked it we had, 350 members, maybe 325 at the start of the year. And we lost 4 during the whole year, other than the people that moved out of the city, which was probably another 20, you know what I mean? That's that relationship, I guess. What do you really chalk up the difference in the retention rate of the old way versus the new way? If you had to say 3 things, what are the biggest 3 things?
I'll kind of spitball a third, but I have the big 2 are the individual experience is second to none. I've always felt like I did a really good job on the floor, but seeing my coaches, do the same thing, I crush it in the one-on-ones and, create those relationships. So, when you have that relationship with a coach and you build that trust and someone's really in it for you, it's that rapport and that the results that we're seeing are huge. And then before that, the consultation process, we're no longer shy about saying like, this gym is not for everyone. Everyone can sign up. We have a spot for anyone and everyone, but everyone won't, because we are going to hold you accountable. There is an upfront commitment. You have to want to do this. The the days of the signing up the people like, oh, I was just going to try CrossFit and, leave after a month and fuck your numbers. Like those days are over for us. Like we're not going to participate in that. And, being comfortable saying that's not what we do. And also that client process is the whole story.
Awesome, dude. What we've been doing, I think, for a long time is I come from the industry, like the green building, sustainable design, all that stuff. And I hated using the word sustainable. It sounds just like this left-wing propaganda word. But recently we've been saying, hey, what we're doing and what the industry is not doing is ethical and sustainable. So you mentioned a couple of things there about how you feel about yourself. Maybe talk a little bit about how the old system made you feel and how the new system made you feel. Just explore that a little further, buddy, because I know you have a set of balls on you, and you like to be you, right?
Yeah.
What was that like before versus now?
The old system, there was no life. Like there was no process. For my first 3 years of owning this business, it was great doing. It was my thing, right? But there were many a day where I would look back to where I was just churning at gardens, and I was making double the money up there because I was hustling my ass off doing personal training. So now fast forward and I'm coaching, 7 classes a day, not able to take on any one-on-one clients, and just like feeling this unsustainable, like people would call and inquire and, the phone rings. It should sound like money, right? It should sound like the bank going off, like, let's go answer the fucking phone. But I was so burnt out just having to be here all day and like keeping the clients that we did have. I just didn't want new people because I didn't want to deal with a new person in class and be stressed out and have to deal with that crappy process. But now, and to go back to what I was saying, like I've been to a lot of, and my whole education is through CrossFit and like functional fitness stuff. And I've done a lot of classes, and like, I still give myself the Pepsi challenge as far as running a class. So that was always, I was always on stage and always felt like I still present, but it just felt like it was never going to end. There was no turning the page. Like, how can I turn the fucking page if I don't have time to breathe to do anything else. So it was brutal. We don't even have 7 classes in a day anymore to coach. Right.
Why did you do that?
More time for the individual clients, bigger classes. We got a little, we were lucky through COVID. So when we came back, we just ripped the Band-Aid off and said, we're staggering the classes by an hour in the morning, and then we're only going to do 2 in the evenings. And also sustainability. I felt like I was drowning in class hours. Started to resent certain class times when you start to get either hungry or you got to take a shit or you're just freaking exhausted and you got 3 more hours lined up, and then someone's going to pay that price. And, rarely was it you, but it would be in the form of maybe the last client doesn't get your best, or the last class doesn't get your best. And, that the business doesn't get your best because the phone rang off the hook during the day and you turned it off because you needed to get an hour of sleep. So it was impossible to have good processes everywhere. And, it felt like there was no next step. Like this, it just felt like purgatory.
So let me ask you the question, because it seems to be the pervasive way that they run group exercise, and I don't know if something as technical as CrossFit or as good as powerlifting or gymnastics or the movement people or Pilates or any of that stuff should be done in a group, like just exclusively. You know what I mean? I think, you mentioned something there about, after they've done 20 personal training sessions or, a 3-day evaluation, 10 or 15 personal training sessions, they've been slowly brought into the class and back. There's a place for the group. We don't want to let people know, hey, there's no group training here. We just do one-on-one like OPEX. We know that the combination of hybrid memberships and personal training with people brought in with like 2 months of one-on-one is the highest retention rate in the industry. There's nothing like it. Because the personal training alone, like you said, it's got its problems. The retention rate is definitely lower, right? But when you really dig into this thing, why were you doing it that way? Like, why were you doing it that way?
That was the way that was demonstrated. That's kind of what I knew. That's what I was really good at. So it was like, do what you're good at. And you don't see another way because you didn't even know it existed. And I did like the OPEX model, and we actually do a variation of that where we have some individual program design with one-on-one, and we have some different.
So do we. We have a whole OPEX path, I would say.
It's awesome.
We encourage everybody to do the CCP, and we've had a bunch of our coaches have done it. I'm actually trying to make a course for Madlab gyms through with OPEX and James. I had a lot of respect for them.
Yeah, they built something really cool.
Yeah, they got some good training there.
Something you said too in the group classes I wanted to touch on. Something that we noticed too, the competency is huge, right? Like teaching someone how to do these movements and getting them into class is unbelievable, especially for safety, especially for the coach's stress. But we're finding with the clients, like just knowing that it's okay that you don't have to come in and do a muscle up because George is doing muscle ups next to you has been such a big quality add for us. And that's what we were finding with a lot of these clients, like these people that would have never done CrossFit otherwise or come into a gym like this otherwise. They have that personal touch, and then they get into a class and they're like, I just saw this stuff and I thought that's what everyone was supposed to be doing. But in reality, it's like one or two people. It's not even close to the majority, but just that little, like, your coach has your back. It's okay. This is what you do. And you get that validation.
Here's your progression of where you want to go. You can't really scale a snatch or scale a muscle up for most people.
Yeah. And we have some guys that like will never snatch because why do they need to do that? They don't have to.
Yeah.
And we have some guys that shouldn't be, and they fight us and they want to, and we meet in the middle and work with them a little bit. But it's all about, it's what their goals say. Like, do you want to be good at CrossFit or do you want to be healthy? Okay. So somewhere in the middle, we can definitely meet, but it's just knowing exactly what they're looking for and being able to use that as part of their entire development, whether it's in the one-on-one or program or class.
So you opened the door that wasn't going to go down necessarily, but there's a lot of us in this network that started from CrossFit. There's quite a few that came in and go post-mania phase. And then there's new guys coming in that, wouldn't touch it, but it still is their basis, even if they don't know it. And then, we have dance and we have Pilates and we're kind of movement agnostic. One thing that we've changed dramatically, we went away from the brand a long time ago because we had no choice. That's another conversation. But, if you talk about functional movements, and it was my early days, it was functional movements only. And then it was intense. You went balls to the wall every single day, and that's what we were told to do. And then it was constantly varied without, talk about that fitness protocol versus what works now.
Yeah, and I mean, even to quote the guy, it's the movement consistency and then and only then intensity before we get to the functional movements, right? So I'm big on that and progressions, and doing intense workouts every day is not anyone's prescription, whether you're a professional athlete or you've never worked out and you're 75 years old off the couch. So it definitely has a place, but it has to be, it has to make sense with the progression. I know I consider myself the new guard. Like, I grew up in the industry with a lot of the old school guys that were working out in warehouses and doing it that way. But holy shit, man, the things that they all have in common, they were just like, they're showing pictures of the rips and shit on their hands, and their knees hurt all the time and their shoulders hurt all the time. And like, I get it. It was cool and rugged, and that was part of the allure. But when I came in as a professional in the industry, it was like, guys, this isn't fucking right. Like, I want Susie down the street, and she's a mother of 3, and she hasn't worked out in 10 years from, after an ACL injury. Like, why are you kicking the shit out of her? She's never going to come back. This is fucking crazy. Yeah. So it's just, going back to the process, getting back to that consultation. Like, what do you really want from us? What are your expectations for us? This is what we expect from you. What are your goals? Can we do those? Are they reasonable? Okay, so let's do that. And this is the path. And these are the things that you'll see that you won't do. And these are the things that we're going to work you towards. And just like being fully transparent in the process and where they are in the process is huge.
Yeah, I look back at it now, and I tried that model. It's just, we were directed at one point, you need to just put people straight in a group class, and then you got to train 7 newbies, in that first day. You know what I mean?
Oh,
and if you did the
fucking
level
nightmare.
2, the first level 2 that Greg came up with, but that's what it was. There's 7 people. And you're evaluating how you could train 7 newbies at once. It's just like mania style, just running around, and that's how they evaluated everybody. I remember doing it, and the Chevy was like, if we did this in our business, we'd be bankrupt in 6 months, maybe sooner, right?
The stress level, man. I've never done that, and I'm stressing out thinking about it.
It's just so crazy. You can't make a relationship with anybody. It was the craziest thought. But I mean, if you look back, why did you do it the way you described it? Why were they teaching us to do it that way? Why? Think about it, right?
Oh my God. Because that was the easiest thing to package and put a bow on. Because I mean, when you look back at what Greg was saying, he says a lot of great stuff, and then the application through the certification processes, it's a little
totally different.
broken.
Yeah.
Like the fact that I remember sitting in my level 1 and people were asking questions about owning a gym. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? You're the one that's teaching people how to do this? This is like their first experience, and they're jumping into level 1 and they have money, so they're going to own a gym. I remember, 9 years ago? So I was a 23-year-old kid, like, how the fuck are they going to own a gym? I don't know anything, and I could teach them how to do it. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was great in a way. It was like Wild Wild West. Anybody can open a business. And one of these podcasts before, I'd love you to meet Sarah and Patrick in Cincinnati. Are like, well, it's just about the easiest thing you could ever imagine of owning your own business. You know, you pay $3,000 or you pay $1,000, you do your 2-day cert, you pay $3,000, and away you go. And the system that's in place that they put everybody into is the simplest thing you could think of, right? Put people ready to do a group class or the small group on-ramp, charge no money, and try to fill the place up and pay the coaches $15 or $20 an hour. I mean, it's just about as simple as you can possibly do. So why did they teach people to do it that way?
I mean, honestly, I don't know. Because it's not, I have no idea. I mean, looking back, it just seemed like the way. Like you didn't even question it. It's just, this is the way. But, you know, in 2020, it's like, how do you, especially like you said, with these high skill movements, like how do you punch through, like get people through classes? Like, I don't know. It's,
well, you think about it. I'm going to guide you down a path here. This is my mission for living. This is why I'm doing those podcasts. This is what I want to teach the world. So let's fast forward to today, right? So, you know, if about 2007, all the early people, we all had we had territories and we had 25-mile radiuses. And we had all those things, right? And then, you know, the journal at the time was based on that was the method. It was almost like a non-for-profit CrossFit, and Greg made his money from the journal, and he had to be excellent at putting stuff out, and then he started doing the certs. And he quickly realized, holy shit, I can make way more money selling these 2-day certs than selling a franchise or a licensing fee, right? And the whole idea when it was started, like way back even in the late 90s and the early 2000s, it was a message board where they sat there and argued about elite fitness, you know, and they tried everything. In the fitness protocol, I mean, I don't give a shit what anybody says. If you're not broken and your shoulders and hips and your body moves okay and you don't have any big things and you want to get as fit as possible, as fast as possible, like you want to get fit in 6 months or a year and a half, that shit worked. I mean, I got ridiculously fit. But, I mean, you get adrenal burnout within 5 years. But the fitness protocol was, you know, was something quite special. And then when he closed down his gym, and he was gonna do the school, and he was gonna do the university and teach everybody this stuff right. And we were still worried about the business model, and he knew the business model was a problem. And then all of a sudden, I mean, that search for excellence in a gym, Nick. One day it was search for excellence in how we get people fit and get them to stick and stay around in the gym. The next day it was, we're not responsible for the affiliates, and their search for excellence was, how many 2-day certs can we sell? And how many licenses can we sell?
yeah.
Right?
I mean,
Open up an Orange Theory F45, and maybe you could argue Soul Cycle now, but now you're getting into monostructural movement. There's not a lot of technical stuff there, but I mean, let's say right now, knowing what you know, and someone gave you this franchise and you had to take 400 people on Monday morning.
no fucking way, man. For what?
Right? How would that work?
To do what? Like, there's no shot. No shot. I say flat out no. That's crazy. You know, I mean, you and I have talked about this, so I feel like I'm cheating a little bit, but also just like the thought process of the amount of money that you should pay your coach if they had to funnel 400 people through a day should be all of it. They should get fucking 70% of the revenue generated for that day, because that is the most miserable fucking day you could ever have in your whole life. Unless you're a big cheerleader and you just don't give a fuck, which I feel like
that's the industry.
It's not that these guys don't know, because I think there are a lot of good coaches and trainers that get lost. I don't think that they realize that they don't give a fuck. They just don't.
Well, that's the thing. They're not paid to. They're paid to so many dollars per hour. And now I'm seeing they're starting to pay by the head. They're starting to get clever. I mean, that pay by the, $6 for everybody that comes to your class. Well, what does that turn into? It turns into, oh, you guys all got to come to the 5. The 5 is so much better than the 4. And they're all pirating each other to try and get people to come to their class, which is not the behavior you want. So let me take you back. Okay, you've somehow just woken up from a nightmare. You've just paid, I don't know, $40,000 for a franchise fee. You've now invested $300,000 or $400,000 in a gym, and you got 400 people coming in this week. What do? You woke up with this nightmare, right? I mean, most people are like,
oh my God.
They sign up and go, holy shit, man, I got 400 members at $250 a month. I'm rich. This is awesome. And they know nothing about the gym, that's the way it was in the CrossFit Mania days. I would say 2010 to 14. You could put a sign on your door and 100 people would show up, right? So,
yeah.
I mean, can you take each person and do a one-on-one, 1 hour consult?
No, it's impossible.
Can you do a 3-day assessment with everyone?
400 people are showing up day one. You're fucked. I'd try and give them the 40 grand back and keep the contacts for the 400 and schedule them out over a month.
Yeah, I mean, you have to just say, hey, I only have myself, and I gotta, you gotta train coaches too, right? So now you start seeing why is it you put them in a group class right away? Why is it that the coaches are trying to train 7 people at once, right?
Yep, it's simpler because you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Just don't ask, don't tell. Turn a blind eye. All I know is that the numbers look right, and that's all I care about. And we're losing whatever their acceptable number for retention is, which I'm sure it's shit. But then they also have their 1 day a week packages, which I know that they run through, and they charge $65 a month for 1 day a week, and people come in and still do that shit and never come in. And
what does the programming look like? What does the client development process look like? What is the coach development process? It's all set up for day one to handle the 400 people, right?
Yep.
So the guy can sell another franchise, make 50 grand.
And that's the whole thing. And I've heard you talk about it before, but we ran into it a little bit with the big brother model, or the dad model, where I had partners that were not really here, and the finances were restricted in a way to where, even though we were, we had $35K in revenue, we're still showing a loss, and we're doing 12 classes a day and freaking breaking ourselves. We had 2 coaches making dog shit. It was just me and one other guy, splitting the load, and he was miserable and I was miserable. And, you just don't know. You're like, how can this be the model? And, you get lucky and you reach for that vision or that experience that, someone like, I'm lucky enough to find you guys and, want to change enough to actually trust it. And like, holy shit, there is a life, there is a business to be had, but it's not the one before. That's how to make someone else money. Freaking quit the industry, go back to bartending.
Yeah. And that's what's wrong with the industry. I mean, people say, Patty, you sound negative or whatever. I'll be like, listen, the industry needs to know what's going on. If I was some kid, like 21 years old, 22 years old, hopeful about it, got out of kinesiology school or exercise science, and you go jump into one of those, I mean, I think most people don't even know instinctively there's no chance there in any one of those group exercise gyms, and even the big box gyms and that, and just, it is my responsibility to teach the world. I feel like it now. The only reason why you're putting people straight into a group class, doing a little on-ramp of group, paying coaches by the hour and a percentage to do upsells, is so that the people at the top can sell franchises or licenses and they can move on quickly. It needs to make money first day and be perceived as low risk. It is set up for day one, not day 5. Not year 5, not year 10.
Well, that's the big one. That's the big one. And
all right, so I'm going to move on from that. Let's have some fun here. What does year 5 look like? Actually, take me back to how you started on this whole thing and what your background was. I'm sure people listening are really interested in that.
Oh, yeah. So how was I? I mean, I'm a restaurant guy for my whole life, since I was 14, dishes and all the way up. So I was having a good old time bartending in South Florida. And I had there was like 6 guys that would meet with me that would show up at the gym at the same time I would at LA Fitness regularly. I've always been a gym rat. Like, it's been part of my life forever. And one of the regulars at the bar that actually became a really good friend of mine was like, you're a fucking moron. I was like, what are you talking about? Good to see you too, man. What's up? It's like, you train like $600 worth of people a day for nothing. And there's people that their whole career is doing what you do without trying. So you've created a business without trying and you're not making any money. Quit being a fucking moron. Stop doing this shit. Go do what you love. That's all you talk about. I'm sick of talking to you about it. Go do something. Nice. It's like, holy shit. So, it clicked. I've been skipping school to go to the gym since I was 16. Like, it's not a surprise. So I started with outdoor boot camps, which was not for me at all. No fucking way. It was a cool experience. Learned a lot. Learned a little bit about the hustle. Learned about the building a brand for someone else that you shouldn't really be doing. And then I found CrossFit, and I loved it. I loved competing at it first and foremost. I thought it was great. I thought it was a cool idea, like grassroots organization. A bunch of my buddies did it, so I went in there, and I kind of went up the ranks, and I got pretty good on the competitive side, pretty decent as a coach, and a shitty business person still. And then in 2015, my old boss from Garden said, do you want to play exercise forever? Or do you want to make some money? And I chose the latter. I had a serious girlfriend at the time and now my wife. And so he started, heart rate based class that competes with Orange Theory. And it was fun, but you're still a cheerleader. And, I was getting a little percentage of that, but I was still there, every single day at 5 and 8, trying to do personal training clients and then the afternoon classes, and I was grinding my ass off up at Gardens. And I was, in my best year, I made like $85,000 up there as a coach. But there was a 2-week period where I made $0. CrossFit, I was making a lot of money. But there was a period where I had my now wife and I went on a vacation and I had a 0 paycheck. And I was pretty certain that this was going to be, my wife and kids and all that. And, taking a 2-week vacation and getting $0 was not something I was okay with. So, I presented a business plan to my first business partner, Chris, who's like a big brother to me. And he asked me to breakfast. And at the breakfast, he sat down with a manila folder and he said, your idea is fucking stupid. You're too good to partner with those schmucks. You're going to hate your fucking life in 3 years. And this is why. And he had some things that he sketched out about what I would have to do and all this and that. So I asked him if he wanted to be my partner. He said, yeah, that's kind of what my thought was with this meeting. So we found this gym. It was an existing gym in 2016. We bought it. It was a fucking dump, and turned it around slowly, built it up to something pretty good. We inherited like 50 members. It was supposed to be 100. It was 50. We built it up to 150. And then that's when we sold the business to my next partners, big franchise, physical therapy franchise. And I thought that was good. I thought it was like a fast track to get, instead of a 10-year plan, it becomes a 5-year plan. And, without getting into the same conversation we just had, that's their vision. That's what they know. They're business guys. Bottom line, how to get the most. Let's look at Planet Fitness and Orange Theory as our model, and fuck you as the manager and coach, because you don't matter. We matter. We're the investor class. So we're going to keep it impossible for you to make income, but give you just enough to where you can feel like there's a difference. And
with the plan to sell the franchise, build the franchise, and then sell as a franchise, right?
Exactly. Build a model that I wouldn't have got shit off of anyway. And, it's a weird thing to say, and I hope the listeners don't crucify me, but thank God for COVID, because we migrated online that day we were closed. It was all coach contact. So we're doing Madlab before we were doing Madlab. And then in September of 2020, I came to him. I went to him in September of 19, and I asked him to buy the business, and he gave me a fuck you number. And then September of 2020, I had you guys in my corner and with all the leverage in the whole world, and gave them the bottom line number, which was still too much, but enough to where it paid for, it made sense. And
they weren't never going to get any better number than that. You gave them some respect with that number, actually, really.
Yep. And then here we are. So 2021, we officially were like Madlab Gym. Coaches were percentage coaches, and we refined the process a little bit. And here we are. We've been rocking and rolling. I have we just hired a fifth coach, so there's 6 of us. So I have 5 coaches now. We're coaching instead of 12 classes a day. We have 5. We have one specialty program. We run a kids camp during the breaks, and we do a lot of one-on-one individual design, and obviously the one-on-ones before people jump into class. And it's a whole different ballgame, man. It's elevated me as a coach because it holds you accountable to people individually. So you really got to be on your shit. But it also lets you be a good coach because you have time and you want to pour into those people, because you're not like, fuck, I got to do another class. I forgot about the fucking 10 o'clock class. Like that sucks. And those people don't deserve that because they really want the best from you, and you can't even give it to them. It's impossible. You don't have enough. The business we did good last year. we made a lot of money. So it was fun to see that growth and see the difference from, 1 year to the next.
So you mentioned something Audrey told me. You said, we know each other, and I know we'd be friends. We hung out. We probably would have been friends in high school and all that kind of stuff. You can just get a sense for people. But Audrey's like, he's doing really good with coaches, finding them, training them, having had success. Tell me a little bit about your first coach, or wherever you want to start with this coaching bit here now.
Yeah. So honestly, I talked to Audrey even this past week about it. I feel like it's still managing people is still my biggest weakness, like managing other professionals. I played sports my whole life. So, and I grew up in an era that was still you can get fucking chewed out in front of everyone. It didn't fucking.
That's all they had in my day. That was it.
Yeah, man. Like so I was right on the bubble, and I was still in the generation that you'll get. It didn't matter if your grandmother was sitting next to you. That coach is going to be chewing you out. So I don't like to yell, but I'm a what the fuck kind of guy. And so kind of just give you some background there, but just my growth over the last couple of years, like getting people through their hiccups and, with a little bit more empathy and, teaching them the process, being a little bit flexible. And, I have a list of things that we're not flexible on. Client relation, really client experience is one of them. Really everything else on the technical side, I would take a great bartender over a expert kinesiologist if the kinesiologist was a fucking asshole 100 times out of 100. I'd never take the kinesiologist and go fuck off somewhere else, because that's, at the end of the day, if you can keep people safe, no one gives a shit how smart you are. They want a good experience. They want to feel good. So really, that's just.
So where are you finding your coach? Where are you finding your coaches from? Like, you got 4 full-time coaches going already?
All internal. So the first 2 are my rocks. They were with me through COVID and everything. Went from hourly pay to percentage-based pay. They're awesome. That's my guy and girl. And then Tiff, Audrey actually recommended to us. So she went through a different education and got hooked up with you guys, and she was in the area. So Audrey hooked us up last year, and then she said, fuck it. And she quit her job as a pharmacist and jumped on. Wow. Kate is a member, and just was having some career, trying to figure it out. So she's, we brought her on, and then we just brought another girl on, Michelle, who I've been working with for 5 years. She was a CrossFit level 1, but she's a teacher, and she's stepping away from that gig in the fall. So this is going to be her last semester teaching. Because they're
Glad to hear four female coaches and Nick.
Not three female. Right, 1, 2. Oh no, 4 and Edens and Nick. So there's 6 of us.
Wow. And
so, yeah, we're outnumbered.
Tell me a bit about your numbers, like where did they go, like your gross revenue, profit, your take home, any of that kind of stuff. Where did that go from? And I mean, we're still kind of in COVID days. I know Florida, like it's been over for a while, but there were some hard times in there.
Yeah, man. So I kind of like to do the big leaps. So at our busiest, when it was, so Ray was a coach that we had. He was a full-time guy, and him and I was splitting the load. This is like 2018. Our biggest month was 35K. And that was grinding our dicks off. I mean, we worked hard, and we saw zero of that money. So fast forward to our worst month was June 2020. So I think it was June 2020, because that's when we came back from being shut down. And that's when people were like, not in. The online stuff was cool, but I was kind of doing it to support you type thing. So our lowest was 16 or 17K. And we rang 38 last month. And as far as percentages go, we're crushing it. I mean, 40% of that revenue is a give or take is essentially either cost of goods sold through retail or coaching labor. Our fixed costs are 12 grand, and then the rest is butter. So.
And your coaches, how are they? What's your top coach? How are they doing?
So I think Edens is our top guy right now. Last month he took home like $4,200. He coaches.
That's after tax and as an employee and all that stuff.
Yeah, he coaches, and just for reference, because I know this is going to be important, and I don't want to give you a bad number. He coaches 9 hours a week.
People don't understand that. That's scary.
Yeah,
people think you're lying, right?
No, yeah. He has nine hours of coaching responsibility a week, and then he has his one-on-ones, his fundamentals that he does, his assessments and consults and programming and all that extra stuff. But that's the gravy. But that's like the biggest game changer to make anyone want to do this is they have skin in the game. In no world are you going to go open a gym and get 40% of your fucking gross. Like, I mean, if you do, good job. But like, I don't see how that's possible.
I think two of the things we haven't really told people, and you hit upon it a little minute ago, is, I've had our guys get, I'm going to call it like 3/4 paid vacation. And we've had two guys, like I've had two of my coaches that have been with me over 15 years, both had a long-term disability. One got sick and the other one lost his son in a tragic accident. And we found a way with our system to pay them to stay home and get well, and they made summers between $3,000 and $5,000 a month for almost a year, each one of them. The industry the other way, like how long would someone pay you for 6 months or 3 months? They would
zero fucking minutes.
Yeah. So you go take that vacation. Let's say you grind for 49 weeks of the year and you make 80 grand, right? And then you take 3 weeks off and you're broke.
Goose egg.
Yeah. Talk to me just a little bit about how how that system, how our system works. Like maybe the listeners would like to know, well, how does that work? If say one of your coaches takes a 2-week vacation, how does that work?
Yeah, so I mean, it's really simple. Your book is your book. So if Patty's my coach and Patty wants a 2-week vacation, he obviously there's no personal training revenue coming in, but if he has, just for numbers' sake, let's say he has 20 people paying $200 a month. That's $4,000, right? So he's got $4,000, and he's got a percentage of that. So he's going to take home $1,600 as as an associate or a junior. No, you be 40% is senior associate, senior apprentice. There it is. Yeah. So he's going to take 40% of that, and if his responsibility over that month was, let's say, 40 classes, one of our coaches is going to invoice him to cover those classes. Or if he knows that if it was a planned vacation, usually you'll get we'll run a bank of IOUs. So if everyone owes you 40 classes, you're free and clear. You just take that money and go enjoy your month. Yeah.
And then with the longest term disability, let's say I know like Sheppy, for example, probably had 40 or 50 clients, and the coaches pooled and did the personal training stuff, the hybrid membership stuff, and they pooled and took these extra classes, and we had some younger apprentices that they were coming into being associate coaches. They took the classes, and then we just paid them the $25 an hour out of the pool, and if his normal take home would have been $6,000 a month, he probably still took home $4,000. So, you're probably, I'd say you're making 2/3 of what you should be. So you take that 2-week vacation, you don't feel it at all, really. And the system, I think, allows coaches to be, they've been around 5 and 10 years and 15. They can take their periods of time when they need a bit of a break. You know what I mean? Like, our guys coach 7 or 8 group classes a week, and then they're not taking on a whole lot of new clients or doing their hybrids. They can still make $5,000 or $6,000 a month and work less than 20 hours a week.
Yeah.
Right? And even take a couple of weeks off. So, I mean, talk to me about, the difference in the vibe of your coaches knowing that.
Yeah, I mean, really, it just feels like the only buy-in was, I mean, I say the only buy-in. The big buy-in is like, do you want to do this as a career? Like, if you're better off, if you want this as just a part-time gig, I'll pay you to be an hourly coach and you come and do your 1 hour and be fine. But if you're legit and you want to do this as a full-time gig, like, this is the only way. And we go through the numbers, and they, I'm transparent with all the numbers. They see them all. They know what it's like and know what our expenses are. So it's like, okay, so in 6 months, I'm good. Like, I'm not taking more clients. We've had to turn it off 3 times in the past 6 months where we couldn't bring on a new client, and there was a 3-week waiting period, just because we were slammed, and people were like, no, can't.
And how are you getting the new clients? How are they coming in?
So we were running a pretty good Facebook lead ad. So we were rocking and rolling through that pretty good. And we just had a video. We spent some money and had a professional video made for us, and it was awesome. And
no free week, 6-week challenges, deposits. It's free.
Nope. Never, dude. That's crazy shit. That's like the anti stuff. I see free stuff all the time now, and there's a very small handful of gyms that I'll reach out to if they're doing something stupid and be like, hey guys, what the fuck are you doing over here? This is dumb. Stop doing that. And but yeah, no free stuff. It's just, it is what it is. People call often and ask for, hey, can I do a free trial? And I used to just say no, but now I talk to them like, what are you hoping to discover in a free trial? Like, have you done this before? Well, yeah. It's like, okay, well, come see the gym. There's a class at 4:30 or 5:30. Come see the gym and see what's going on. But if you've done it before, you know what you're looking for. Why you don't need to come work out for free. And if you haven't done it before, of course you can't do it for free. Well, you don't even know what the hell you're doing. Why would you even ask that?
Do you do with people that are experienced in the movements and stuff like that? They come in. What do you do with them the first day?
We still do an assessment, but we usually kick the shit out of them. If they're really pushing, like not doing one-on-one, honestly, and it's usually guys 99% of the time, like, no, man, I've done this forever. Like, I'm fit. I can do this. We still do our normal day one assessment, but it's set up in a way where it's a flow chart. So even, I'm pretty good. If I came in and I was checking all the boxes, like that, it's a rough day, and you're working hard, and you end up with a 10-minute assault bike test at the end of it. That's, if you're a fit guy, that's tough.
And do you put most of them in a 3-day assessment after that, or all of them?
So yeah, you're doing at least 12 one-on-ones, regardless. And if you're on the higher end, we're going to work based on how you score on the assessment, flexibility and movement patterns, things like that. We're going to work high skill movements. That's, I mean, it's,
So we
it's
get
not
this right.
complicated.
Someone's done, let's say you're a gymnastics gym and they're good at gymnastics. You're a CrossFit gym, they're good at CrossFit. They've been doing it for years. They come to your gym, they got to do 12 one-on-one sessions before you'll. I love that.
So we sneak them into class a little sooner, but amongst their one-on-ones. So they're never off the hook through those 12 sessions. And the first 3 are done before they see a class.
Why do you do it that way?
Because we want to, I mean, I don't think it's fair to them or the whatever coach they're going to see on the floor for us not to have an idea of how you move. You know, if I believed everyone's bullshit that said they were good at these movements or they've done CrossFit before, we'd be broke because people would die in here. Right. It's simple. It's safety for them. You know, the people that fight it the most usually need it the most.
Yeah.
I've had,
yeah.
So I've given the option. People have pressed the shit out of it. And I've given the option 4 times to test out. Like, okay, fine. You're going to put down a deposit for your first 3 days. If you pass this test, that deposit will go towards your membership and we'll call it square. I've had one person, they crushed the test. I like shook their hand afterwards. I was happy to put them in because they smashed it. But I mean, he was the only one. The other 3 were dog shit.
What are the other factors other than just moving properly? What are the other things you want to achieve by putting them into the one-on-one?
Oh my God. So culture, flow, you know, just general movement practices, not movement practice. I'm sorry. Like gym practices, gym etiquette, potentially getting to know other coaches, other members, getting comfortable with reading all the verbiage and all the shorthand that we have, right. And just being cozy in the space so they can be, you know, autonomy is a huge part of what we want to achieve. You know, we want them to not feel like they need us. And in order to do that, it requires a lot of hand holding in the beginning and a lot of education in the beginning. Like you said, not just on movement, but on everything, how we operate, how things go, where things go, what equipment is, what it looks like, how to clean it, where to go to the bathroom, you know,
culture,
the whole culture,
relationships that stick. And I mean, how does that affect your retention? Right? Oh my God. No, it goes back to that first conversation. I mean, it's not that we don't measure it. It's just, it's, if we lose someone, it's, you know, what the fuck happened? And it just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. I love that. So your coaches now, what are their goals for how much they're going to make in a year and how many weeks of vacation? Like this year, 3 years from now, have you talked to them about that? Yeah. So getting the further years down the road is a tough one. So Edens is very good. So basically 2 of them want to increase revenue for the gym by $2,000 and $4,000 respectively by the end of Q2. And then Edens is the only one with a salary goal, and he wants to make 65. That's his goal. And he's getting close, which is exciting. And the rest? So Michelle is brand new. So she's looking to recoup as much of her salary from, you know, leaving her teaching job as possible. So her comfort level is at $40,000, which I told her, you know, it's going to take time to build that book up, but she's going to take a small percentage of the gross to do the marketing side of things. So marketing manager. And then Janice is not, she definitely likes the freedom to move around and do stuff. And her big thing that she talked about is travel. So we've been talking a lot about how that works or how that would work in a year or 2 years and, you know, what she wants to do and how she wants to go about that. So creating that opportunity for her to be free to do that when she's ready is her main goal. Yeah. So, I mean, it looks like you got a pretty clear 1 year, 3 year plan here, which is what's the potential and where do they really want to be? Like, how much money do they want to make a year or where in your market? I know in our guys, we're doing a whole leadership thing right now. We got a 14-week course with Greg Mack, 301, nice. Which might be a real good thing for you to check out when we're done. And it's been really interesting uncovering. I mean, I've got 7 full-time coaches and 3 of them have been there more than 15 years and 5 of them have been there more than 10 years, and you know, there's still all these little Discord things, and one of the things they've set up is, okay, we really need to consistently make $8,000 a month take home, right? Some do, some don't, and then we're laying out, okay, this is what you got to do. This is what it really looks like to get there. So what does that look like for you guys?
Not too far off, honestly, as far as income goes. But now that, I mean, the market just changed drastically down here as far as housing goes. So I feel like the conversation is evolving as we're having this conversation. But you know, if they're making $6,000 a month take home, they're kicking it, and that's, you know, they're all W-2 too. So that's definitely a factor.
That's after tax and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So that seems to be the sweet spot number as far as like feeling comfortable with them stopping and this as their only source of revenue, because I know that that's a living wage, and you know, whether it's a nice apartment or a home they want to buy, like that'll set them up for success.
And they can see, you know, they can do that under, you know, 25 hours a week on the floor, and you still get 4 weeks of vacation. Like they can see the number, right?
Yeah, it's not a fantasy at all. It's all there. And honestly, we've been having more of the, are you willing to do this next step? You know, because a lot of them are seeing more money than they've ever made. Because most of them, this is like first job. They're kids, except for Tiff and Michelle bringing them over. The other ones, you know, this is the first real money that they're getting a taste of. So it's hard to like, okay, so now this is the next level that we want to get to, and it's okay if you're not wanting to get there, but we get like, you got to tell me, like we got to know, right. And if you want to. You can get off and get back on whenever you want, but if you're off, you got to be off. And then when you're on, we'll get you back on. And for me, it's still tough, but it's okay if you're good. Like, are you happy with here? You're content. You're happy managing your book and doing the personal training that you're doing. Great. If these are your goals, you know, if home ownership and these things are your goals, then you will need to you'll need to get a bigger book. And this is how to do that. So it's just having that open conversation without being too much of a stick in their ass.
Yeah, I guess the other part you mentioned, I mean, your retention's great. That's not an issue. You're not losing people at all, otherwise they're losing town. How about your average client value? Where's that gone from, and where is it at now?
This is the best conversation. So at our busiest, I'll take you back to 2018 when we rang that 35K. We had that $35,000 a month, and we had so many fucking members. I can't remember. Our average client value for that month was like $120, $115. So we had a shit ton of members, and that was like a bunch of pre-sale. It was crazy. Fast forward to today, and we're at like 175, and we're at $200 average client value at least.
Awesome. And that's like when they're in a membership. They're probably, like you said, they're probably 15 to 20 personal training sessions at how much an hour?
85.
Wow, nice. In Florida, that's great, man. So you know they're buying 20 personal training sessions, $85 an hour, and then they're buying a membership that's a minimum of $200.
Yep. So 193 is our base, and we keep them there. And honestly, you know, I won't even take 193s anymore, and that's just one of the cool things about this system that I would have never been able to do otherwise is like I can feed these guys and get their banks bigger and let them get fed, and I'm not actively taking clients unless I absolutely need to, and it's awesome. It's allowing me to work on the business and work on some other projects that I want to do,
you've got your own clients that you currently have, and you just maintain them, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, my look at the happiest time I ever was, Nick, was 2009 to 13 or 14. I got off the floor and started the Madlab business side of things. And, you know, I had 50, 60 clients. I worked 3 hours of classes a week. I had 4 full-time coaches and some apprentices. I was like the GM. I mean, I never did marketing. We never had to. Our referral culture was so strong. It was 100% referrals, other than maybe a Google search, right? Which, you know, and as a gym owner, I was making a gym owner, GM, marketing manager, coach, cook, bottle washer. It was $250 to $270 a year, and you know, that's kind of where the potential is for the gym owner who wants to be in his gym, right?
Yep.
So what does it look like for
for
a little Nicky here for 5 years from now? What is it? What is the gym? What does it look like if you lay it out?
Yeah, 5 years. I would like to have. So I laid this out the other day. I would like the coaches to all be working with at least one apprentice actively, it will happen before then. But everyone on staff now to be working with another apprentice coach. In 5 years, I'd like to be in our building that we own. It looks like we're going to extend our lease for a little bit, just so we can avoid getting the shaft on a rent increase here. But definitely want to be in our own building. I want to have some subtenants that are that all work together. So we have a PT that's in-house now. She's amazing. I'd like to work with her and a couple, maybe a food shop and other things under the same roof as tenants. So they're still separate businesses working. And I want to be still coaching a very small handful of clients. I want to have a ripping metabolic testing program for higher level athletes. People can come in and make an appointment. They can just get tested, or they can do testing and programming. And I want to be doing more client outreach, or community outreach. So bigger name with schools and charities and things like that, charity organizations.
What's gross revenue look like?
So gross revenue in 5 years needs to be over $1 million.
What does the EBITDA or profit look like after you're paid for all your roles?
Oh man. Gotta do my numbers.
Yeah, we gotta sit down with you. You gotta make your plan all work with every number. How many coaches full time?
So in 5 years, I'd like to have greater than 6, because that would mean we maintained everyone full time plus one more. So that would be
that's about right. Six full time get you $1 million. How many square feet you got there now?
Right now we're in 4,100.
Yeah, you might top out. You can probably do $1 million. That'd be a squeeze. You'd have to really manage it every square inch properly.
The million. So this place is I've tweaked, I've played around with some class sizes and what that means for membership and how often people are coming, and we could definitely do 750 in here. No problem. Getting to the $1 million mark is going to be a little hairy, but we're actually going to do I'm going to spend $5,000 on a little remodel, and we have 3,400 square feet of wide open space. Yeah. So we're going to partition the room a little bit, where it's still open, but there's a very, very conscious class cutoff, and then space for us to do our one-on-ones and things like that. So.
Well, one of the things I hear in your voice, and when you talk about the dark days of trying to bring as many people through as possible and not get really building somebody else's brand and not sharing in the real spoils of the efforts and the work you're doing or the profit, I hear hope in your voice.
Oh yeah, man! This is what I want to be doing. This feels like. It's fucking cheesy, but this feels like it's destiny. This is the way it's supposed to be done. And it's hard for me to, I'm not that guy. I think there are multiple ways to skin the cat. Not this one. I don't think there is. If you want a successful business and you really give a shit about all your clients and you really give a shit about your coaches, you'd have a hard fucking sell selling me on something else. Cause I don't see it.
I can't see it either. Just we tested every single way to look at it and do it, and the thing evolved slightly a little bit, with hybrid memberships. And the thing we're working on now is team bonus. There's 2 holes in the thing that I can see that we're taking it to the next level to show that people coming down is your coaches aren't really incentivized in the current system to raise an apprentice. We need to talk about that before you start doing any of those. And the second one is we need a better team bonus. So I just paid $6,000 US. We're week 3 into this thing with Greg Mack out of 14 to get to the bottom of having all of our coaches really, they've been friends for years. They've been working together 10 or 15 years, but really pulling together to reach this kind of team bonus thing. So I thank you for saying that. I can't think if there's a better way to run it. If you're trying to be successful 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now and have a real sellable asset, really enjoy the gym business, I can't see any other way. You know what I mean? The only other thing is to keep on improving your service to raise your prices and find people that can want to pay for a high level coaching service, and then develop your people and follow the 9 laws, right? I mean,
yeah, man.
Yeah,
that's it. It's great. I mean, it's a great thing. It's awesome. Like you said, there's a lot of important qualifiers in there, because there's, you meet a lot of people in the gym business, and they don't love the gym business. They like it as I can open this and put some money into it and pay a bunch of people nominal fees, and they can run it, and I'll make some money and I can go do something else. And you just, from the group side of things, you feel that. I mean, maybe it's just me, but I feel it instantly. I feel that. And it's just no way. I don't want any part of that.
So, I mean, there's still a lot of people out there who think they're just supposed to be business owners. They are remote control it from the back room, and they think they're going to get rich, with a franchise or licensing fee, and not really knowing the business. What do you say to those people?
I mean, it works it kind of works if you're going to open a McDonald's, I guess. But, with a client-based business, like your product is your people, so it's your coaches. Unless they're incentivized to work, like you could be a hands-off-ish owner, meaning not coaching, but you still got to give a shit about your coaches, and they still got to get paid, because otherwise it doesn't work. If you're looking to open a license or a franchise, go open a fucking smoothie shop.
Yeah, there's more long-term success there. Yeah,
this isn't it. Go get some big boy money and open up a Planet Fitness, and quit doing it the half-ass way and tainting group fitness for everybody else.
Yeah, when I hear people talk about a service-based business being run like a McDonald's, I'm like, well, you're going to have a service that's worth $10 an hour or whatever you're paying those minimum wage people. That's what the service is worth then, It's like, then you got to have, I just don't know how, it just doesn't work. It only works for the guy at the top selling the license or selling the franchises, as far as I could ever see. And that started with curves, and even started with aerobics before that. I remember when curves came along, and Greg was stoked. Curves got to 10,000, and I was like, why are you stoked about curves getting to 10,000? I mean, they were just playing a different game. Their excellence was now how many licensing fees and 2-day certs can you sell, right?
Yep.
And the amount of money they made, I mean, he walked away with $500 million here. And how many gym owners inside of there did well?
Not many at all.
How many coaches?
I mean, oh my God, how many people have a level 1? Like, that's a fun stat.
How many make more than? How many have a level 1? How many make more than $50,000 a year? I mean, what would the number be on that? Oof.
How many have a level 1 and don't do anything pertaining to fitness or CrossFit? Because I bet that's the highest percentage.
That was the beauty of it. They sold that thing to everybody, which, fair enough. That was fine. I mean, that's whatever. But, all right, buddy. Well, one last question I like to ask people. How was the gym drama back in the days versus the gym drama now?
So I love this question. So my whole time when I was more on the competitive side, it was you see each other at every local event, and you're all friendly, and then everyone fucking hates each other, and there's shit talk and people trying to poach members and all this stuff. And we're lucky in our area. So Palm Beach County, there was a lot of gyms. We're all like the second wave of owners. So I reached out to all the other guys that I used to compete with that took over their gyms, and we're all like white flags up. Like, we're all good, right? Like, we're not going to do the same bullshit. And I think it still exists it still exists in a sense, but I have a guy 800 meters from our door, and his model is just different. And I refer people to him.
Yeah. I love having a CrossFit gym in the old model. Like, we're not doing that. You can go over and see this guy, right? Go
ahead. Tell him I sent you. He'll be happy to get you in. But yeah, it's the old drama was so unnecessary, and it was just part of that culture, the compete all the time culture, and like I said, the rip your hands and show off. That's shit.
Yeah, my gym, Monster CrossFit, is way better than race car CrossFit. You're so much better than you guys.
Nonsense.
So what happened to the first wave of gym owners?
Sold. sold. They just no sustainability in what they were doing. And there's still a couple out there. There's still a couple. There's not many, but there's still a few that are kicking. But
is it the gym owner's first or main source of income, or is it sort of like the side project?
The gym I came from, they're doing well up there. They're Mac Daddy. But they're a little bit in fantasy land with rent, and I hope they can find something that's close, because I know they don't pay shit. And they're in Palm Beach Gardens, which is getting more expensive by the day. But as far as the old model goes, like they're the only ones that I know that are not there's like 2 gyms that are competitive gyms, and I know they just pump people in. But those are the only things I can think of for the old model that are doing anything worth a shit.
Yeah. All right. This is the last part here. Man, I love you. I love your story. I love your enthusiasm, your ability to do the model, and it gives me hope. We've spent a lot of years trying to figure out how we're going to teach gym owners to do what we do. We went through all kinds of models and kind of came back to how we teach people in the gym. There's a lot of one-on-one. There's a lot of like hand-holding. There's a relationship building and all this stuff that Audrey does. So 2 questions. One is, how's your experience been with Audrey? And then 2, how can I get better? How can the company get better? I like to ask that from our good members. I like asking it from our bad members too, but especially from our good ones.
So experience with Audrey is great. So, it's just like you said, just like working with a client one-on-one. There's a lot of education, and then, it kind of shifts with her and I from accountability to education. That's what I feel like it is, because I know it needs to be done. So I love meeting with her consistently, and keeping me to it. And then as far as we can get better, honestly, like the biggest thing I would love to see is I'm trying to think of like a full cert process with a lot of movement, and just to rival like the CCP, like to rival the OPEX, or what Active Life is doing, which I really don't love anymore, and something like that. Because on your education side, the Rainmaker course is the greatest thing that exists for coaches. So big, more on the movement side. So if someone was brand new, they had no chops, and they wanted to start fresh, they could start with that cert.
Maybe you could help me with that.
Okay. Let me know what you need. I'm in.
Well, the thing is, what we're doing right now is Tom's producing the manifesto on, okay, we have our pillars for our business side. Here's a client development process. Here's a coach development process. Here's all the business side. Now there's actually what we're doing in the gym from the technical side. We've stayed away from that part because we've had OPEX gyms and CrossFit, and I've even had Krav Maga and gymnastics, and I've kind of stayed away from that technical side. But I think the CrossFit world especially is crying out for what is the evolution, and there's a lot of gyms out there that have evolved from that thing over to something that's way more sustainable for the client, and how it works with our business processes is from how we do our 3-day assessment to 15 to 20 PTs, to what the programming really looks like in the class, to what individual design looks like, and to what the hybrid membership, what that hybrid looks like. And, we've evolved a long ways away from going as crazy as you can with a functional movement. There is a whole different, more sustainable fitness protocol there, and a programming protocol that we've kind of just kept to ourselves, because I didn't have any bandwidth to show the world. So we're going to be in Texas in the next couple of months. Maybe you come out and join us, and we have a chat about that. And if you're passionate about showing that side of things, I know technically you're probably as good a coach as anything we got, and you're on the same page as Tom. Maybe there's something there for us to look at.
That would be awesome, man. When do you know those dates when you guys are going?
Not quite yet. End of April, early May. Probably early May.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Keep me posted. I have one slot in May that's no good. I think it's like the 5th. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. We'll figure something else out.
All right. Let's have a chat. All right, buddy. I love you. Thank you very much for coming on here today. And man, when I see guys like you crushing it, and see the hope and the on the floor doing things right, man, it really does give me a great feeling, man. It makes me all the struggle is worth it when I see this shit.
Oh yeah, appreciate the hell out of you, Patty.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, man.
Talk soon.
Later.